Live from the City of Angels on a Friday afternoon here in LA. I guess early evening, but either way, this will be a new thing we do on Friday night. Get that number that comes in from Deadline. They're always good about getting the weekend number for whatever film debuts. They pretty much have it on Friday, and they're not off by much. So what we talk about tonight is where we're going to end up on Sunday within a really tight range, and it's very good news for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Disney, 20th Century, obviously the same company. This thing is looking at $52 to $55 million. That is an outperform. We had this in the 40s. Most people thought maybe mid to upper 40s. This is going to get into the 50s, which would match Rise and War. As you know, Dawn was the biggest of those three films. So for this film to be back at 50 just 7 years after War, that's a win for Disney. And as much as I think the film is mid at best, it's a celebration because the box office looks strong, and we need that for the theatrical business to survive and to continue to thrive, as we've seen some underperforms going into this weekend. Last weekend, look at The Fall Guy. We talked about with The Fall Guy going down the way it did, it always pops the next film up. Give me a like. Did I not say that? It's the wave theory. When the film in front of the one that you're opening underperforms, your film is going to pop up because people sat that out, and now they're going to come to the multiplex to see the next film. So what's going to happen here over the next several weeks? This film comes in at 52, 55. Maybe it gets a little higher, somewhere in that range. I mean, when they are this specific about the range Deadline, they're right on. I mean, look at last weekend. They said 28 for Fall Guy, ends up at 27 and a half. Upper 27. So you're looking at, this is the number, which is, again, a win for Disney. But I'll tell you, coming up over the next several weeks, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because this film will be in the marketplace, obviously, next weekend when we get If and The Strangers. I think The Strangers is probably in trouble because we've seen horror go down harder because there's been so much of it in the marketplace. It's too much. It's oversaturated. So when you look at If, I think that film is going to do really well because you don't have any real family films around other than Kung Fu Panda 4, and it's what, 50th weekend in theaters? So it's time for another family film. So next weekend, Apes versus If, and then the following weekend's Furiosa. I think that's enough room to operate for Furiosa and Warner Brothers, because you have Apes this weekend, a little bit of a break because it's more of a family film. When you look at If, obviously Strangers isn't, that's going to be that horror market. And then the next weekend, Furiosa is pretty much the same market we're seeing this weekend. I want to add one thing that we talk about when you talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. As much as I want to support the film, this is not a family film. I didn't mention that on the reaction stream. There's no way you're taking a young kid to this movie. It's way too intense. And what they do to Macy's character, like, what's happening? That's another problem with this movie. But we're only here to talk about box office, and it is good news at 52 to 55 million. I like it. AMC Apes are showing up, Marvin. I would agree. It looks very nice. My Thursday early access screening was packed for Quad. We had children. I don't like that Mulchi. I really don't. It's not a kids movie. You've seen it. You've got death. You've got some really dark shit going on. It's definitely not for little kids. 12 and up, if they watch The Walking Dead, sure, but not for the regular younger crowd. This is definitely a 3.5 Quad, because you don't want those little kids in there unless you want to have nightmares. I mean, what were they thinking with William H. Macy's character? That is the worst. Okay, this screenplay is terrible. I mean, arguably really bad. That decision to do what they did to Macy's character, of all the decisions of what you can do to a character, and if it's a spoiler, so be it. That's the last one I'd make, right? Here's what we want to do with this character, and they'd give me like 10 options, and not that one. That's the one you went with? What the hell are we doing here? Not sure how the reviews were positive from the first hour. It was brutal. It's a streaming story. I kept looking at my watch. It's extremely boring. It's way too long. It needs to be at least 30 minutes shorter, and that's a big problem. When I say 30 minutes, we're talking about a serious chunk of time, right? They're planning to make 5 more. Oh, this and Avatar. I'm like, oh, no, definitely not Save Manny. And then we're going to wrap this stream really tight. I'm off to see Pool Man tonight. Yes! I am so excited to see Chris Pine's directorial debut. I have a feeling this thing is going to be a total shit show, so I might post a reaction afterwards. If not, we'll talk about it Sunday on The Spectacular. But real quickly, to your point here, Manny, it's not saved. I mean, listen, I think the next several weeks are going to be good for box office. I think Strangers will come back up because people are ready for a good horror movie, not tarot. And then you have If. That family market's been dying for something new. That'll do well. Then the following weekend, we get Furiosa, and we also get the Garfield movie, right, which opened up strong overseas. So everything's looking good right now. This is an encouraging sign this weekend when you get this film at 52 to 55. That's why we did the stream. We're going to try to do these on Friday night tight, like 5-10 minutes max, just give you an idea where this film's going. I'll see you back here on Sunday for the longer form, although still short, breaking box office Sunday morning as those numbers come in. Live from LA. Peace out. I'm going to Pullman. See you on Sunday. Ow.